This is DSP, and I am the Digital Headhunter. Digital Headhunters are the new breed of recruiter who don't belong in three-piece suits and prefer freedom and impact more than an expensive business card. We're the misfits who play chess in corporate America, and yes, HR is a four-letter word. We're here to wage guerrilla war against the big-name brands and win. So watch as I scale up my practice, and along the way, I share all my digital marketing strategies, real-life sales techniques, recruitment hacks, and big biller interviews. Welcome to the Digital Headhunter. Hey, what is up, headhunters and executive recruiters? This is David Stephen Patterson. You may know me as DSP. This is the Thrive Daily series for recruiters and how to pivot your business so you can survive and thrive in this recession, or whatever you want to call it. I prefer to call it an economic shift because that's what's happening. The market is shifting and we need to shift with it. We need to be first movers. So I'll be coming out every day to talk about cash management, business development, recruiting, employee management, mindset, even fitness during the lockdown, anything you may need to know to make sure that you are ahead of the game. So before you watch, make sure you subscribe, hit the notification bell so you're notified when videos come out. They'll be coming out daily for the time being. Also, there is going to be a podcast. The link is going to be down below. Also, we have a guide. The link will also be down below. So sign up for all of our resources, and most importantly, though, sign up at thrivedaily.io. The link is also down below, and get notified as we release more trainings for free every single day. And with that said, enjoy the show. Okay, we are going to try this again. I got cut off, unfortunately. I got to tell you, as much as I love Zoom, the last few times I've gone live in the Facebook group from a Zoom call, I've been kicked out. So I'm actually doing this direct to Facebook at this point. So let me make sure I'm live, and then we're going to try this again. God dang it. So frustrating. So frustrating. All right, I'll have to restart here. Okay, yep, I am live. Okay. All right, there we go. All right, so we're gonna give this another shot here. So anyway, and guys, for those of you who are coming back in, I apologize. Like I said, the last probably 3 or 4 times I've tried going live with the Zoom call into the Facebook group, it's kicked me out. So we're just gonna go live direct. Okay, so let's get back to business. I'm gonna start over. Okay, so I apologize, but I gotta start over. So leadership calls, what are they good for? I started talking about leadership calls back a few years ago when I did the 5-day Hire Manager Messaging Challenge, right? And that's where I really first introduced the concept, at least the style that I like to use in this community. Prior to this, leadership calls, and by when I talk about leadership calls, I'm talking about a call like a VP or director, somebody who in a leadership position in your space, not necessarily a C-suite, right? We're looking for somebody that we can help advance in their career. And, it's easier when you're talking like to, say, director, maybe senior manager, but director, VP, right? That's usually the sweet spot that you want to be. So being able to talk to them and then to maybe flip the call. Now, the way it's been taught for a lot of years, I never liked, and it always felt like it was a bait and switch. So we're going to talk about that because I'm not a fan of the way that leadership calls have been taught by most trainers. And I like a lot of the trainers out there, but the way it's been taught is just really, really clunky, and not a fan. As an example, I'm sure many of you have heard the old, the standard, it's still being taught today, the old standard method, right? You get a VP or a director on the phone, and you talk to them about the career, and they look great, and excellent, no problem. Well, what state do you want to go to? No problem at all. What's your money? Excellent. If I get an opportunity like that, I would definitely give you a call. Oh yeah, your experience looks great. By the way, tell me a bit more about your company. Really? Wow. It sounds like a really good company there. Gosh, I'd be remiss if I didn't ask, but golly gee willikers, do you use recruiters there? Oh, it's so clunky. And it's a bait and switch, let's be real. And it's why a lot of times these higher level leaders are a little bit skeptical talking to recruiters. Why? Because so many recruiters pull this bait and switch bullshit, and it's crap, right? It's not a good way to build a relationship, and it's super clunky, right? Or the other way, which I'm not a big fan of either, which is this, well, hey, let me tell you about what we do, and let me ask, what do I need to do to earn your business? Oh, I hate that. You should never, by the way, first off, never, ever, 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 ever say, what do I need to do to earn your business? You don't got to earn anybody's business, right? It's positioning. They've got the problem. You've got the solution. You don't need their money. It's a peer, any partnership level, one partner doesn't tell the other, what do I got to do, please, sir? Please let me earn your business. We don't do that, okay? So get that out of your vocabulary. Stop that right now. All right, so let's talk about the benefits of a leadership call, the way I like to teach it. Now, for a leadership call, there's a few things that you really get from them. First I'll talk about some of the overarching philosophy behind it, and the presuppositions that you need in order to use this method effectively. Okay, so we're gonna go to a high level. Then we're gonna talk about how to get these things, how to get leadership calls, and then we'll talk about how to manage the leadership call and how to transition it. Okay, without being super clunky and without being a bait and switch recruiter. Okay, so that's it. Hold on one second. Let me take a little swig of my beer. It is beer 30 somewhere in the world. So that's oh, that's good. Okay, I'm working on my quarantine 15, folks. All right, so here's some of the benefits that you get from running leadership calls right now. For one, you're going to be able to talk to a lot of leaders that would never have given you the time of day just a few months ago. Why? Because they are busy AF. They're busy. They're hiring. They're in my space, for example, SAP. They're overseeing multiple projects and they're doing all these different things, right? And they're getting, bombarded with calls from recruiters, pitching them opportunities, right? B, trying to pitch them services, right? And usually doing so poorly. I do find it funny, however, just on a quick side note, all the candidates that would talk shit about recruiters on LinkedIn a few months ago, you don't really see that now, do you? I do find that pretty funny, but I digress. But anyway, but that's why they don't ever call you back. It's very hard to get them on the phone, right? And if you do try to get a leadership call, oftentimes they recognize a bait and switch when they see one, which is why we don't do this bait and switch bullshit, okay? It's very important to stay away from that, especially now, okay, when you're building relationships. But now, however, there's a little bit of doubt, right? Even people at the larger companies, or maybe the more stable companies, maybe they're not experiencing layoffs or furloughs or anything like that. There's a certain psychological shift that's happening right now, and across the industry, and I'm sure you guys have seen it, there's been a shift towards needing stability, strength of leadership, needing more security, right? Knowing what's going to happen to them over the next few months. Do they have a backup plan? Many of them don't. They didn't need one before, right? It's very easy to be an effective leader in a I guess you can call it a peacetime economy, when the economy is just cranking on all cylinders. But when things go and it stops, and there's massive unemployment, those leaders who were strong leaders just a couple months ago are oftentimes they're screwed. They don't have the right leadership style. They don't have the right connections. They're not positioned correctly, right? And that's what's going through a lot of their heads right now, even if they won't say it. Laying in bed at 11 o'clock on a Sunday night, talking to their spouse, and they're worried about what's going on. They're having these conversations, right? They're worried. They're scared, right? Now, we're not here to play on that necessarily, but this is an opportunity for us and an opportunity for them as well to connect with what we are, connectors. We're able to connect them to opportunities, connect them to others in their space that can help them, and vice versa. And that's what we're going to be using, okay? So the ability to connect with them is really, really huge right now, right? Better than it's ever been. Excuse me. Now, this is where you want to plant seeds. Excuse me. I talk a lot in my training, talk a lot about the difference between hunting and farming, right? In fact, in my training, I actually talk about hunting, farming, advancing, and closing. There's like the four power moves that you make throughout your day. Hunting being, well, going out there getting business, like prospecting, sales, even cold calling, right? I'm not one of these trainers that they'll tell you no more cold calls. That's super unrealistic. Or, farming, which is planting seeds for future growth, right? Content, marketing, advertising, getting your podcast up and running, all that kind of jazz. Starting a LinkedIn group for executives, okay? And then, of course, advancing, closing, that's just advancing is getting the sales meeting, and then closing, of course, is, well, closing, right? Well, now, as we're going out there and hunting for new business, we really have to plant a lot of seeds. This is an opportunity for you to plant those seeds and harvest at a future date. If you can start building relationships again with people that would have talked to you a few months ago, okay? So that's one of the big advantages. Secondly, searching for MPCs. For those of you who aren't familiar with the term or the acronym, most placeable candidate. It's just in essence a candidate that you're going to market, okay? Now, marketable candidates. Right now, the people who are employed are getting bombarded with marketable candidates. So now it's actually, when you could make a living marketing a B candidate, now you really need to market those A-level candidates. And I can tell you here in 100%, not every VP is an A-player candidate. You can have a VP that is a B or a C level candidate. I'm here to tell you, having been in the business for a long time, I can tell you that for every 20 VPs, there's probably one I would take out to market, right? And so, but what this allows you to do, my style, by the way, which is meant to kind of expose if they're good, if they're not, and again, you'll see what I'm talking about here shortly, but that my style is meant to really expose who they really are. As a candidate, and determine, is this someone that I, as a recruiter, who if I don't place this person, I just worked for free, am I willing to invest and risk my time, right? You need to be thinking about that. So, but this does allow you to get those diamonds in the rough that you could then go out and market. And I can tell you from my clients in Tactical, which is my lead gen program, and then also an Accelerator, which is more my coaching training, I can tell you that we've the MPC campaigns we've been running have been getting higher response rates. All right, when you're MPCing a management level candidate, right? Or on the sales side, if you've got like a real sales superstar, right? But that's kind of on the side. Typically, it's going to be, for everybody else, it's going to be like usually at the management level, not one of those management levels that's kind of redundant, but we're talking someone who is more like a wartime leader, like a General Patton, as opposed to, again, some peacetime leader, someone who can command and control style leadership, somebody who is very good at rallying the troops and working through change and damage control. If you have a really like an A-player level leadership candidate like that, that's gold. Okay, so it gives you the opportunity for that. Third, well, the flip. I mean, it says it right there, flipping the call, right? Again, we're not going to bait and switch, and I'll explain what I mean here in a few, but flipping the call, right? When done correctly, it's really elegant. But again, we do not do the standard, gosh, Bob, I'd be remiss if I didn't ask, do you use recruiters? Golly gee willikers. No. Bad. Do not do that at all, okay? let's see here. I just saw a note from Jonathan Fisher. Love this terminology. Oh man, that's fantastic. Thank you. So let's see. There's more. The fourth, or maybe fifth, I forget the number, but another big value in this is learning pains. Now, my style of sales, I should say sales, but prospecting and sales are different. Sales are when you're in a sales call, when you're in some sort of discovery mode and you're really trying to align your solution with their needs and trying to get this fit, right? Prospecting is different. Prospecting, you're really quickly qualifying buyers from non-buyers, right? And the main qualifier is, are they in pain? Do they have a pain that you could solve? If they have a position open and they're happy with their recruiter, sorry, you're not gonna be able to sell them unless maybe going in at a lower price. So I guess that's an option. But ultimately, you need to be able to find out if they're in pain. But the problem is, so I teach actually leading with pain. I don't teach leading with a unique selling proposition, right? Here's why we're so great. We're SAP specialists. We're this, we're that, because no one cares. Everybody's USPing across the market. Okay, that's how it's kind of taught. I lead with pain, right? I lead and actually talk to them about here are the pains that we solve. We typically see this, and this. Trying to see what resonates and see if they happen to feel that pain or that resonates with them. If it does, then I could talk about my USP, and then I can try to then move that into more of a discovery phase, right? I'm not going to go over how I do that here. This is about leadership calls, but the one thing I will say about leadership calls is one of the great things you get from this, if you use my style of prospecting, is that the pains that you learn about are great. I mean, the best lines I've used in my SAP sales career, and prospecting career rather, have come directly from leaders, right? So here's an example. When I cold call or warm call, whatever, reach out to a prospect through a LinkedIn or email or just by phone, and I talk to them about how, with the state of the market, let's say, so with SAP kind of forcing companies to upgrade to S/4HANA. You guys don't know what I'm talking about here, but this is kind of the industry speak, right? And so they're kind of facing down this black cloud. All the while, you got the Accentures and Deloittes of the world in the boardroom selling the funny stuff, while the management level has to pay the price, it has to deliver, but they don't have the talent. So they gotta go back to the big integrators, pay top dollar for junior consultants, getting ripped off when it turns out you got to train them anyway. Now, to you guys, that sounds like gobbledygook. Like, what is he talking about? Because those are the exact lines that I've gotten when I've been on leadership calls. When I'm talking about some of their biggest frustrations and pains, and I have a leader that tells me, yeah, I just sick and tired of got Accenture up in the boardroom selling the funny stuff. We're down here on the front line to actually have to deliver on this. When I use that line, take that out, and now I put that in my marketing or my prospecting, it makes it that much more powerful, because now it seems, oh, here's a player. He knows what he's talking about, right? As opposed to, for most recruiters, when I ask, hey, what are the pains that you solve? Well, I help my clients. My clients are frustrated because of not getting quality candidates. No, they're not. Maybe, but not really. Not really. It's not what's going to get their attention, right? It has to be a lot more visceral than that. And so leadership calls get you that in spades. If you do it right. All right, you'll have pages and pages of notes, and you'll just pull out the best ones and put that in your prospecting and your content. There's a reason why my content always has resonated very well the last few years with my SAP audit. Same thing with recruiters, right? Here's an example, real quick before I get into how to get these leadership calls. Here's an example. If I were a lead gen specialist and I'm trying to get your attention as maybe your recruiter, and I want to get your business, and I say, well, let's see who's on this call here. Let's see. Let's go with Corey. Actually, let's go with my boy Rick Silva. What's up, Rick? I used to work with Rick way back in the day. Hey, say Rick. I work with independent recruiters who are frustrated because they always feel like if a deal doesn't close in a month, they're screwed. You know, they'll have a 0 month, they'll blank, and it frustrates them because of the financial insecurity. Now, I could say that, and that does make sense. But if I also say, you know, Rick, I work with recruiters who, you know, one of their biggest frustrations really is they get this feeling in the gut of their stomach when they get an email from a candidate on a Friday at 5 p.m. before that candidate's supposed to start on Monday, and they're afraid to open it. That's a bad position to be in. I say that because I know the industry. I know what they're feeling, even though maybe it hasn't happened to them before. Or maybe I say, hey, you know, I work with independent recruiters who, you know, one of their biggest fears because of their lack of lead gen is their spouse sitting them down one day and say, honey, maybe you should find a real job. Right? Because I'm really it's that punch in the gut. That's what you get from these calls, okay? It's really, really important. It's getting into this in the deep psychology of these folks, right? Because that's who you're going to be selling to. So anyway, that's not to belabor the point, but that's one of the big reasons why leadership calls are awesome. Okay, so that said, let's talk about getting these leadership calls. Michael G. Cox, also another accelerator member. That phrase, though, I'd be remiss, brutally painful to hear. Yes, and I still to this day hear it in training. To this day. And I hate it. It's so bad. So bad. I guess it's good because if other recruiters are using it and you're not, then it's going to separate you from them, right? So let's talk about the getting of the leadership call. How do you do that? I mean, it's relatively easy if done the right way. So what I want to do is I want to share my screen. Oh, shoot, I'm not on Zoom. I can't share my screen. God dang it. That's why I wanted to be on Zoom, so I can share my screen a bit. But then Zoom kicked me off. So I am going to just have to, I suppose, read. Yeah, unfortunately, I can't share my screen here. So I'm going to have to read the sequence. So give me a moment here. Let me pull up the sequence that I'll talk about. So for many of you are fairly familiar with sequences. I started talking about sequences a few years ago with Woodpecker. There's Quick Mail, Interstellar, Milkshake, and there's, you know, tons, right? And then lately we've gotten into things like Outreach, Vanilla Soft, which I know David Perry uses, Outplay, which is what I use. I'm a really big fan of Outplay. A lot of the accelerator folks use it. I really push them hard. But regardless of what you use, right? In essence, you're using a system, and I'm sure you guys know what this is. You know, a sequence where you send a LinkedIn message, then another LinkedIn message, maybe an email, and then there's a phone call, and then a text or email. You know, you can basically mix and match all these different messages in a sequence, right? And the great thing about these is that, you know, in the past when we would recruit, you know, it was very basic. Call, send an email. Call, send an email. Call, send an email. And that's kind of basically what we did, right? Now these sequences allows you to send, you know, 200 messages over LinkedIn. Boom. And then 2 days later, send another message, right, to those who didn't reply. Boom. All right. And then next time, boom, we're doing a voicemail drop. Bam. Right. And then next day we're doing text. And the next day we're doing email. And it's really, really cool, right? So we use these sequences. Now, not to get into the mechanics of sequences, but you know, with these outreach tools, you can do LinkedIn, email, phone. You can kind of mix and match the different platforms. If we're building a narrative, which is what we're doing here, a narrative meaning one message leads to the next, in a chain. If you just see one message doesn't quite make sense, right? Then we're going to use the LinkedIn platform primarily. Or the email primarily. Go with one, right? If you're sending a message that's the standalone message, right? So for example, you're sending an MPC message, and you're pitching the NPC, but you're not really building on each message, right? You're not building a narrative. Then you can use the different attacks, LinkedIn, email, phone, right? But since we're doing a narrative here, and I'll explain why we're doing a narrative, we're going to use one platform. I recommend LinkedIn. LinkedIn, you're going to get much better response if your LinkedIn profile is optimized. If your LinkedIn profile sucks, then you probably won't. So check out my YouTube channel. I have a LinkedIn optimization video there, and it's not bad. All right, so let's read this here. And again, I wish I could show this on my screen, but again, because Zoom kicked me off, I have to do this direct on Facebook, and I cannot share my screen. So sorry, but you can always rewatch this and pause and go slow and write this out. So let's talk about messaging. So you're gonna pull up. First, you're going to optimize your LinkedIn profile, right? Now you're going to kind of get a sense of, okay, these are the leaders I want to talk to, right? And I'm going to talk to them, and not only I'm going to try to flip the call, I'm going to build relationships, work on planting seeds. I'm going to get all their pains. I'm going to probably learn a little bit about the industry as well. By the way, if you're ever wanting to switch industries, people try to do research online. No, just go talk to like 30 leaders in that space, and you'll have a better idea than most people who are trying to go onto LinkedIn and do all their research, right? Go talk to the leaders. That's the best way to know if you should even enter an industry or not. Anyway, I digress. So message. So now you've got your, let's say 200, 300, 400 leaders, right? Now let's develop a messaging strategy. Develop a series of LinkedIn messages designed to build a bit of a narrative, a story, if you will, right? To warm them up. Just going in and saying, hey, want to do a leadership call with me? And they don't know who you are, it's going to be tough to get. Maybe, but you'll get the desperate ones, right? You don't want those. Well, you want those too. It's good to talk to everybody when you're first starting out, right? But ultimately, you want the folks that are like the tippy top, that are not very easy to sway, okay? So a couple different ways you can do this. You've got this group of like 300 or 400, right? Or however many you do. Separate them out. You got two groups. You've got your first degree connections, right? And you've got your everybody else, second and third degree. So you put those into two different sequences. Why? Because, well, for one, you have to send a connection request first and then send messages. The others, you can just directly message right off the bat, right? Also, hopefully, as a first degree, they know you, or at least they know of you, or at least maybe you've seen your name before, or maybe something. Although, surprisingly, very few recruiters really work their first degree very much. But in essence, you have these two groups. So I call them a quick wins, your first degree, and everybody else, right? So you have two different sequences you're going to run. Let's talk about your quick wins. What we're going to do is you're going to design a sequence of messages that are going to warm them up, and they're going to ask them and describe the pain that they likely feel right now, which is it's basically they're unsure, right? They're maybe a lack of stability, maybe a little scared, but they can't show it, okay? But the important thing is you want to warm them up first, okay? Jackie says, turn my webcam towards the monitor. That's a good plan, but man, I don't know, maybe. Well, actually, Jack, wait a minute. So Jackie mentioned this in the comments. She's in the accelerator. She's seen this. So, where was it? Yeah, so anyway, so you're going to build a sequence, right? Jackie keeps distracting me. She's good at that. So you're going to build a sequence, right? A rule of thumb when you're building sequences, never sell right off the bat. Warm them up first. When you go meet somebody at a conference, do you go and shake their hand and say, hey, here's my service. Hey, can we do some business together? No, you shake their hand and you say, hey, nice to meet you. Is there anything I can do for you? Excellent. Hey, love to be connected. All right, thanks, bye. Right? It's called a handshake, and that's what we do. Whenever you're messaging, start a new sequence, people who don't really know you, you send what we call a handshake first, and then you start your messaging. Now, if they're not connected, then you send a connection request first, and then the handshake. If you're already connected, just send the handshake, right? And so the handshake I typically send for a first degree is I make it kind of funny, or I try to give a reason why I'm reaching out. Hey, I'm finally using LinkedIn for what's meant for networking. Or, hey, we've been running in the same circles for years. Thought I'd finally reach out and say hello. Give a reason. Right? Then say. So with that said, if there's anything I can do to help you out, maybe introducing you to somebody in my network, happy to do so. Right? And of course, if you see anything of interest in my profile, let me know. With that said, happy to connect. Super easy. Now, if you maybe have a LinkedIn group for executives, which is, I always recommend that, you can also include that in there. By the way, I've started an executive network for, and then of course provide the link there. But in essence, what we're doing is we're just very lightly saying, hey, happy to connect. Anything I can do to help you out, introduce you to someone in my network, happy to do so. If there's anything of interest in my profile, feel free to let me know. What does that do for you? Well, warms them up. Everybody hates to be sold to in the first message on LinkedIn, right? Secondly, you're providing value. What can I do for you? Not what can they do for you, for me, right? It's not, hey, listen to my podcast, read my article, read da. No, value, but not too much. Third, and this is my Jedi mind trick. If there's anything of interest in my profile, feel free to let me know. What's in his profile? If your LinkedIn profile is optimized and it's really good, and you use that line, and you send let's say, do a test. This is really crazy. Optimize your LinkedIn profile first, right? Send out a couple hundred messages without that line. Send a couple hundred, and then track try to keep everything the same, right? Your activity on LinkedIn the same, and track your opens. Then send out 200 later with that line and track your opens. And you tell me it doesn't make a difference. Big difference. When somebody says, hey, if you see anything of interest in my profile, feel free to let me know. What's in his profile? It gets them to look at your profile. It is a awesome little Jedi mind trick. So you're welcome. So anyway, you send that message out. You all right? Whether they respond or not doesn't matter. Next message, a few days later. And the message is, all right, now we're going to get into the meat of it, how to set up the meeting, okay? So, now what we want to do here is we want to set up the asking for a meeting. But before we ask for the meeting, we have to highlight the pain. Remember, no one really cares about what you do. No one gives a shit about you as a recruiter. They're worried about their own skin, right? So we need to align, us with their best interests. The best way to do that is to speak to them about their pain. There's an old saying that if you can describe somebody's pain better than they can, they will assume you can fix it. Now, I don't know about the assume you can fix it part, but they'll at least give it the benefit of the doubt, right? And it's truism because it's pretty damn true. Okay, so and also one other thing when I add in here, I do a lot of what I write about is very technical. Like every little word I try to have some sort of psychological purpose behind it. Okay, one thing that you want to do in your messaging when you move from your handshake message, right, to the official start of the narrative, right? You're going to highlight some pain that they have. You don't just want to start cold, meaning that, hey, by the way, right? We do what's called social lubrication. Social lubrication, all it means is you are connecting one message to the other with a line. That's all it is, right? It doesn't have to make sense. You just got to provide some sort of lubrication to where it seems like it makes sense. And this is weird, but I get into way more psychology stuff in Accelerator, but I'm just kind of really touching on it. But what we're doing here is something simple. For example, the first line, hey, I took a look at your profile again, and I think you might be able to help me out. Now, what we're about to read here we're not asking for the help. Doesn't matter. This is a social lubricator. It doesn't have to make sense. It's one of the weirdest things. Just provide some sort of social lubrication for one to the other, so it's a smooth transition, right? There's not a harsh kind of break. So right I'm going to read the message out. So, first name, Bob, whatever. I took a look at your profile again, and I think you might be able to help me out. Have you heard that? And some sort of industry bad news. All right. Have you heard that, 4 of the major blanks just laid off 70% of their workforce? Whatever that bad news is, that's with regard to employment, right? Have you heard this? Next line. Well, the common theme I keep hearing from blank leaders, right, them, is that they're so focused on protecting and engaging and inspiring their talent that they're not giving thought to positioning themselves. I'm hearing that either, and then I go down to bullet point 1, hearing that either, 1, they were caught flat-footed when the axe unexpectedly fell, when they were found to be redundant, or 2, they felt unprepared to take advantage of any next-level opportunities that always arise in times of rapid change. Don't know which bucket you fall into, but I was impressed with the depth of your relevant experience, and I'm curious, how are you positioning yourself? Or have not even had the chance to think about it in the first place? And then, of course, lastly, open a chat. I'm happy to help. Simply use this link to book right on my calendar. So, now, to give credit, a lot of what I write is an amalgamation of what we all come up with in Accelerator, and this is what we've got used to get great response. Now keep in mind what we're doing here is we're using social lubrication. Hey, took a look at your profile, and you might be able to help me out. No, we're not asking them to help me out. We're asking offer to help them, but it's a better social lubricant and saying, hey, I don't know you, but I want to help you out. We're asking that later, but it's from a social lubrication standpoint, it's actually better in this. Just trust me, it is. Hey, have you heard that blank? I'm sure they did, but we're putting that front and center. So the common theme I keep hearing from these leaders, so you're implying that I talk to you folks all day long. I'm hearing that they're so focused on their team, keeping the lights on, what have you, they're not giving thought to positioning themselves. And that either A, they were caught flat-footed when the axe unexpectedly dropped when they were found to be redundant. Every leader's fear. Tap into that fear. B, they weren't prepared to take advantage of these opportunities that always arise in a time of crisis or rapid change, right? So we have one's of fear, but also one of missed opportunity, right? Hey, I don't know what camp you might fall into, but I was impressed with the depth of your experience. So I'm curious, how are you positioning yourself? Or have you not had time to even think about it? Usually the case, right? Open a chat, happy to help, right? There's a lot of openness here. I'm not specifically saying, hey, let's talk about next level opportunities, but they get what you're doing. They get it, right? The key is, when you really want to sell high level, you sometimes you can't really explicitly say it. You want to imply it by the things that you say. You know what I mean? So anyway, that's the first kind of salvo, as we call it in Accelerator, the first salvo of the narrative. And oftentimes you'll get meetings directly from this. Sometimes you'll get a response back that says, no thanks. Right? Sometimes you get a response back that says, hey, no, we don't need recruiters. You will get those. It's weird. We call them non sequitur responses. You get others that will respond in kind. Yeah, I do see that. Or yeah, here's what's going on. Or in some that would actually take you up on the call right then, right? So you'll get a wide variety. Okay? If you do get somebody that happens to say something non sequitur like no thanks or thanks. We don't use recruiters here. Realize the worst thing you can do is to give that objection oxygen. If someone says, we don't use recruiters, well, sir, I didn't ask you if you did, right? If you reply back and say, oh, hey, no problem, sorry, here's my information, if there's ever a need, call me. Well, you basically just exposed the game, right? And so you basically told them, hey, I don't really care about your needs or your pains. I was just asking to try to get in there to see if you can use a recruiter. So don't do that, right? So no matter what they respond with, don't use recruiters here. Hey, didn't think you were. Anyway, move on to the next message. Don't give it oxygen. Same thing, they say thanks. Oh, sure, my pleasure. Anyway, move on to the next message. If they say no thanks, pretend you didn't see the no. If they say no thanks, say, oh, sure, my pleasure. Anyway, move on to the next message. There is value in being oblivious when it comes to smoke screen objections. I'm not a fan of the big rebuttals, right, that you see some trainers have. I'm more of a fan of the parry and attack. Just move it out of the way, keep moving forward. Move it out of the way, keep moving forward. Using this narrative style of messaging allows you to do that because you're not directly asking for the business, okay? Now, next message. So the ones who didn't reply, the next message might be a couple days later, maybe 3 days later, whatever, and you'll start it here. Now, this one doesn't have as much social lubrication as I like, but it's a powerful opener, right? Things feel surreal today. That's more of a powerful opener, right? I'm sure you're hunkering down for a bit of a hibernation period. Your team probably has a lot of questions that you can't answer as confidently as you would like. But strong leadership is key here, and your resolve as a leader is probably being tested right now. From my experience, this is the time when real leaders are forged, and you need to be up for the challenge. And again, you've got people that are counting on you. So my question is, who's looking out for you? And then here's more of an actual ask. Let me know if you want to set up some time to discuss a wartime plan for your career. And that's, now we've asked, we're going to demonstrate, hey, here's what we're going to talk about. Here's the value you're going to get for talking to me. During our conversation, happy to share strategies that you can implement immediately that will ensure you stay in the driver's seat versus falling victim to the unexpected. Calling back to our prior message. Look forward to hearing back from you. And maybe drop in your schedule link again if you want. Now, let's talk about this. What were we doing here? First off, we're, there's not as much of a social lubrication opener as I like, but I do love these are surreal. It's a kind of a pattern interrupt, right? And use here, it's actually pretty strong. Now we're playing into, hey, strong leadership is key. Real leaders are forged during this time. And you've got to worry about all your people, but who's looking out for you? Happy to chat, develop a wartime plan, and now we're going to describe the value. Because no one really wants to talk to a recruiter because they're busy. They don't got time to be wasting time talking to recruiters. So we're going to ask about, hey, during our conversation, I'll share with you some strategies that you can use immediately to make sure you're in the driver's seat versus falling victim to the unexpected. So again, we're adding value, we're being different. Being different is really, really important here, okay? And we're playing into, their needs, their fears. Now, after this, you get some people that, again, no thanks, not interested, don't use recruiters, talk to HR, some non-sequitur responses, but you will get a lot of good responses as well. The ones that don't reply in kind, they give you the non-sequiturs, say, oh, yeah, didn't think you did. Anyway, move on to the next message. Now, that said, you can go on as long as you want with these style of messages. For this, I generally recommend probably 2 of the narrative style. Do a message bump, meaning maybe another message. Hey, did you happen to see this? Want to make sure it's bumped up to the top of your inbox. Could you let me know? Right? Or maybe a simple message. Thoughts? Question mark. Right? Eventually, if they're not going to respond, just, hey, lastly, just send a message. Hey, try to reach out to you for a few times. I get you're probably busy right now. No problem at all. If things change, reach out to me. Happy to help. That's it. And just wrap it up. But just that simple message style and structure will generate a lot of activity for you. Because, again, we're not being overtly selly, we're speaking to their pain. You're speaking to the things that are probably going on in their head, right? Now, if you're in an industry that this doesn't apply, then simply change it. But it's always important to meet them where they're at. Most leaders right now are worried about their team. They're trying to keep things together, but who's worried about them? And they're all worried about the axe falling at some point. Because what do leaders always fear? To be found to be redundant. Because oftentimes, when things are cut, what's cut? Leaders, right? Leaders are cut, right? A lot of times they're viewed as unnecessary, layers in an organization. So anyway, that is how you go about getting the leadership calls, all right? So anyway, let me see if I have any questions here. What I think I might do, because this took a long time to go into, because I went into a lot of detail, I probably have to divide this in two parts. So we'll do another call where we talk about the actual leadership call itself, how to actually manage it, and how to not fall into that trap where you say, I'd be remiss, golly gee willikers, if I didn't ask you for that business. What I got to do to earn it? I'm gonna show you a very elegant and very smooth way of making that transition happen and making it to their benefit. Okay, because remember, one key thing and I'll close with this, and I'll talk about this in more detail on our next one. I'll figure out when I could do that. Probably this weekend sometime. If not, I can do it Monday. But it's important to remember that you are the solution. Never, ever, ever say, what do I have to do to earn your business, sir? Because that is not what a partner says, right? A partner says, hey, I work with executives like you and executives who are feeling this pain, and here's how it impacts their business. Now, look, this is exactly what we do. We're not right in every situation. But let's dig down it further and let's find out specifically if it makes sense to work together. And if not, hey, I'll point you in the right direction. That's what a partner says, right? You don't want to be the type of person that is willing to take any piece of business or any scrap that's thrown your way. And when you do it like that, it gives that impression. It doesn't even give the impression. It tells them basically you are. And that's not how we roll, okay? So I used to do the same thing, thinking I was smooth, thinking I was about, it's all about constant. It's not. You're begging for business. Don't do that. So there's lots of more subtle ways and much more elegant ways to go and position yourself as an equal. And again, to make sure that they realize that you have a solution, that they have a problem and you have a solution, right? And that if you're fit together, the value that you can provide is way more than what anybody else can ever give them. That you have the keys to the kingdom, right? So it's important when you kind of take that mindset, right? It's really powerful when you do. Anyway, let me see if I have any questions here, and then from there we'll wrap, and then I'll do the second session where we talk about actually how to manage the call, and we'll figure out when we can do that. All right, so let's see if I have any questions here. Derek says, just closed a 25K deal, and now time for some Friday evening DSP wisdom. Hey, what's up, man? Congrats on the deal. Let's see here. Mark says, random question, but what do you use as a webcam? And Jackie comes in with Logitech Brio. I love having the accelerator people here because I don't have to answer questions. They just answer for me. Thank you, Jackie. That was actually pretty cool. All right, so any other questions here? I don't see any. All right, cool. I guess I explained it well enough. All right, cool. So what I'll do then is I will figure out well, first off, I want to send out an email tomorrow to everybody on my list that about this video. And in that email, I'll announce when the next one will be. I don't know my schedule yet. I might do it this weekend, but I'm on daddy duty on weekends, so it's really hard for me I've got to do it during like a nap time maybe. So if I can't do it this weekend during a nap time, then I'll take care of this on Monday, okay? Thank you very much, everybody. I love you all, as always. Hey, thank you for watching the Thrive Daily video series for recruiters and how to pivot your business. You can survive and thrive during this recession. Make sure you subscribe, sign up at thrivedaily.io, and as always, recruiters, happy hunting. Oh.